Well, good night, everyone. It is now 9:13, and
Good night, everyone.
the broadcast begins at 9:15. I think I actually have everything running smoothly tonight. Fingers up, so that we can start on time and um, everything goes as planned. Tonight, we are actually talking about when does a couple know that they need to go to counseling. I thought that we should kind of delve into this topic because it's one that affects all couples or many couples. How do you know when it's time to seek outside help? How do you know when the relationship has deteriorated to the point that somebody else may need to take a look at what needs to be done to make the relationship better? So, I thought that we could do this tonight. Let me just share this a bit here with some other folks. Let's see where I need to put this. Just kind of share it around, spread the word a little bit, and then I think we should be in a position to get going. One more. Put it here. Another one. Let's see. Welcome for those of you who are coming on. We're just trying to do a few preliminary things here before we get started. Yeah. So good night to all of you. Hope you're having a really good day, and I hope that you had a chance to watch Natasha and I share a wonderful Facebook session this afternoon. It was so much fun, and I really enjoyed it. We talked about, I don't know if you're on there yet, but we talked about what do you do when the body changes? And how do you restore intimacy in a relationship? And that particular Facebook Live got a lot of airplay. So I thought I was really happy for folks to come on and experience that. So good deal on that. So we're talking tonight about how do you know when you need couples counseling? Again, say hello, folks. See a few of you are on tonight. Just let me know who's on and say hi. We've added quite a few followers this week. You probably added about 250 followers this week. So we're moving at a very good clip, and that's always good news. Really appreciate that. So why have this conversation? Why should we be talking about whether couples need to go to counseling? So I'll give you a little bit of research, and we'll talk. We'll have some fun. And by the way, remember, ask questions. Just kind of share with me your thoughts, because I want to get your feedback. I want to know, what your thoughts are on the topic. And once we see your comments, we'll read those comments out. We'll just have a conversation here. We'll talk. We'll share. So I want to kind of keep you to keep that in mind. And remember, if you feel so inclined to share this video with friends, share it with somebody that you may know who may be thinking about going to counseling but may be afraid to do it. Just let folks know that, hey, there's this guy, he comes on a Thursday night, and it might be something that you might want to listen to. So share it. Let them know, hey, watch this stuff, so that they can make some decisions about whether they want to attend couples counseling or not, if that's something that they want to do. So here's the deal. The deal is, I think the first thing that I wanted to kind of share with you tonight is that the average couple will wait 6 years before they go to counseling. And so in those 6 years, a lot of times a bunch of things are happening. A bunch of things have happened that have may have created problems in the relationship, and for those people,
A bunch of things are happening. A bunch of things have happened.
for those people, it's they have come to counseling at a point. Marlene, you said, do you get a prize? You get a prize for being first. I gotta think about that. A first prize, first person to come on, do they get a prize? I think so. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Miss Hayward, thank you for coming on. Also, I really appreciate that. So for these individuals, there is 6 years. 6 years is a long time. So the average couple they're trying their best using whatever skills they think they have to get the job done, to do something to make the relationship better. And for a lot of people, they actually don't have enough skills to really effectively manage a relationship. Because for a lot of people, they may think they know how to deal with conflict, deal with differences, deal with their own fears, deal with childhood trauma. There are all kinds of things that determine whether you can have an intimate connection with somebody else. But for a lot of individuals, the idea of going to see somebody, going to counseling, is either a scary thing or it is an unnecessary thing. And so over time, the relationship degrades. And then, you go to a therapist or a counselor when you already have an open wound. And so, in a lot of ways, I think that presents a struggle. It presents, an issue for couples to effectively maintain or build a connection when they don't know how to manage these differences. So, what are some of the common problems that cause couples to wait this long, 6 years? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things that I wanted to share with you tonight. And just remember to share the video with friends. Usually it takes a little while for people to start kind of rolling on to this particular broadcast. And if you share, if you like this video, a lot of times it will spread the word a little bit more. So, thanks. Hey, Dion. Thanks for coming on. The first one is misconceptions about counseling. So, there are people who believe that counseling, first of all, is for when you have problems. There are people out there who simply go to counseling as a precautionary measure. They go to counseling because as an educational tool. And so I think that that's actually how it should be used. Counseling should be used as an educational tool to learn, to know where you have deficits and to know how to effectively manage those deficits. So in a lot of ways, one should consider at least that misconception that counseling is for people who have problems. The reality, I think, is that counseling is an educational tool. It is something that you can use to figure out where the gaps are and how those gaps can be filled. So, first misconception is that counseling is for losers. Counseling is for losers. I say tonight that counseling is for winners. People who want to win decide to go to counseling, or they decide to read the books, or they decide to go to someone's workshop. All of these kind of fit into the realm of counseling, right? And everybody has problems, as my wife is saying. Everybody has areas of concern. Everybody has things that could be better, right? There is no one, myself included. I mean, if I were to be honest with you, I spent a number of years going to see different therapists, different counselors. And I don't, going to see those people for me was an extremely valuable exercise. I think that counselors should see counselors because we have blind spots too, So banish the misconception that counseling is for losers because counseling is for winners. there also is this strong need to go it alone. This idea that I can do bad all by myself, right? Is probably, yeah, doing bad all by yourself. I can do this by myself. I can figure this out on my own. And the reality of it is that, I mean, accept that you have blind spots. Accept that there are things that, no matter how much you look at it, think about this for a second, right? You're looking at, I don't know what would be a good example here, but you're looking at a problem, right? And you've been trying to figure this math problem out for so long, right? And then somebody comes along and they go like, oh, just do it this way. And you're like, whoa, how did that happen? How did this person just come and figure it out? Well, the challenge is that we all have blind spots. We all have areas. We all have things that that we can see, but then there are things that we can't see. There are things that we cannot effectively like figure out. Things that we can't see. And so, one of the things that counseling does is that it gives you new insights, new awareness. But if you think about it, if you say to yourself, I'm going to do this alone, assume that you're doing it alone and blind. So that's a pretty important concept, that doing it alone is doing it blind. Because ultimately you cannot see what you cannot see. Did you hear that one there? That's a good one. You cannot see what you cannot see. And so part of what happens in the counseling process is that the counseling process, again, it could be actually going to see someone, reading books, going to seminars. The counseling process allows you to see what you cannot see. And that, in my mind, is a cool thing. It's something that, it can open your mind to like, oh, so this is actually a tool that I can use to be heard. This is a tool that I can use to make conflicts not go on for so long, right? Thank you, dear. You cannot see what you cannot see. And so it can be an effective tool to allow you to be able to see what you cannot see. The other one, I think, is sad, and it's a responsibility for our own profession, is that we've had a bad experience in the past with counseling or counselors. So for some people, the decision to not go to see a counselor is based on the fact that when they were a child or some other time, they met with a counselor and it wasn't the best experience. I mean, I say to that, that every therapist is not the same. And I think that if an individual is well within their right to make sure that you have a connection with the therapist before you enter into a relationship, a therapeutic relationship with a person, because it's an intimate relationship in a sense, because you're telling that person all your secrets, and one has to be very, very sure that that person understands your perspective, whether it's a cultural perspective or just, somebody that you feel as though you have a connection to. Understand that you have the right to say, no, hey, look, this isn't working out. I mean, I'd say to clients, hey, come first time, and if this doesn't work out for you, I'm cool, And as a matter of fact, I may give you the number for somebody else who I think that some other people that they could have a conversation with to see if there's a connection between them and that person. So I think for us as people in this profession, we have a responsibility to create the best experience possible for the client, but we also have a responsibility. But the client also should know that they have to choose somebody who they feel as though they have a connection to. Yeah, it's not like going to the medical doctor, you know. I mean, yes, you want to have a connection with your medical doctor, but you're going to see a medical doctor for 15 minutes, you know, maybe a couple times a year, hopefully, right? But a therapist is something that someone you may see once a week or every other week for a whole year, for 6 months. That's a different kind of relationship, and you might want to make sure that you have some kind of connection with that person or person. So I think that that's something that that you know one has to make sure that there's a strong connection there, so that you know that you're comfortable with the interaction between you and that individual. The other thing is that, and this is a big one, the other one is that you have in the relationship, the man is almost always the one who's resistant to coming. And I've seen situations where the guy comes in and she's like, my wife or girlfriend doesn't want to come. Yeah, but that's in the minority. Most of the time, what you see happening is that the woman wants to come, but the guy doesn't want to come, and this is a major hindrance for people who want to have that counseling relationship, because there are not because the guy doesn't want to come. You know, what I say to that essentially is that sometimes you may have to go on your own initially. Sometimes you may have to just show up, just be there on your own. You know, learn as much as you can in the counseling process, and maybe once you go, the guy may make a decision to go. But I think it doesn't really make sense, because he doesn't want to go, then I'm not going to go. While it is not ideal, there are many times where going alone, you may actually learn some things about yourself and learn some things to effectively manage the problems in the relationship. And some of the skills that you learn may actually help to improve the relationship. But like I said, the fact that the guys oftentimes don't want to come to see a counselor is a major hindrance, and it's one of those reasons why couples wait so long before going to counseling. What's the other one? The other one is that for some people, counseling is seen as I failed. Now I have to go see someone, right? It is perceived as something that's negative. It is perceived, I am inadequate. So because I'm inadequate, now I have to go see somebody. It's a matter of perspective, right? But ultimately, like I said earlier, counseling is for winners. Your perspective may be that you're a failure, but I think it's more important to consider for a moment that going to counseling represents you seeing yourself as strong, needing something that can help, and also recognizing that there's some deficits, and let me do something about it, right? You guys are awfully quiet tonight. Just make sure you share with some folks. Let them know that we're here, and let's have this conversation. Remember, if you share, some of you have not shared the video yet. I'm like a teacher telling you what to do. Remember, when you share the video, more people get to see it, more people get to interact with us, and more people get a chance to learn all that valuable, juicy stuff that you learned, that you get to learn on your own every Thursday night. So remember to share this video, and just let people know that, you know, this is something that's happening, and it's happening every Thursday night. What is the other one? The other one is that for some people they feel forced. You know, they feel they don't want to go because some, you know, and in this case again, it's the wife or girlfriend telling them we need to go see somebody or you need to go see somebody. So they feel as though somebody's forcing them to go see someone. And the best way to get a person sometimes to not do something is to try to force them to do it. And so you know, so you have a situation where for some people, they do it because they don't do it because they feel forced. Sometimes the best way to deal with that is to gently say it over time. Hey, we might want to do this. You might want to come with me. We might need to find some person. You know, and don't do it in an accusatory manner, especially in a conflict. Say, you know, that's why you need to go see a counselor because there's something wrong with you. That is surely the best way possible to make sure that the person feels as though you're trying to force them, and mind you, they're not going to do it. So that's something to kind of keep in mind, to bear in mind that for some people, feeling forced is not the best approach. Hi Jamie, how are you? Welcome, and welcome Gail. How are you doing? You're on again. You are one of our staunch supporters. As time goes on, there's going to be some value for those of you who stuck by us and share with us over time. And remember, as I speak and things come up, just put some comments in the comment section. Just kind of share your thoughts with me. Like I said, I'm very, very open to kind of hearing a little bit more about where you are, you know, how things are going. And just remember, there's nothing wrong with sharing this video 4 or 5 times in a broadcast, because timelines move very, very quickly. And because you shared it at the beginning of the broadcast, that does not necessarily mean that you can't share it again during the broadcast, because it's going to drop in your timeline and you want to make sure that people get a chance to see it. So if you want to share it 4 or 5 times during the conversation that we have here, cool, no problem, let's do it. The last one that I have here, the reason why folks may make a decision not to go to counseling is that, you know, it just like feeling forced. Counseling is used as a means. I was talking about counseling is used as a means of control. You know, that again, that expression of, if you don't go to counseling, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. So you set these ultimatums for people. I think that there are maybe times where that's appropriate, especially when you may feel as though you've kind of gone into your wit's end. But for the most part, telling a person, using counseling as a tool to force a person to go. I mean, telling a person that they have to go. If they don't go, this is going to happen. Not necessarily the best thing. Hey, good night, Gil. Good night. So let's talk for a bit about the reason why you came, and that is to find out how do you know that it is time to go see a counselor? How do you know that it's time to get some help in order to improve or to figure out how to make the relationship better? So I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 9 things that we can talk about here. So 9 things that we can talk about to kind of help you to know when is actually time. And so I'm going to ask someone to list these 9 things for me at the end. Maybe I'll have some kind of incentive or a gift for you. At the end, if you could list all 9 of these things. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give away tonight. I'm going to give away a copy of my book, What to Do Before, During, and After a Fight. If you can name all 9 of the signs that I'm going to give tonight at the end of the broadcast, so you got to stay to the end. If you can list all 9 and then give me a little bit of some information via the comment section about one of them. So you gotta stay tuned, and whoever I can only give it to one, so whoever does it first is gonna be the winner. And excuse me, I'm gonna talk a bit more about this as the broadcast goes on, but I'm gonna give away one of these tonight to some lucky individual. So the first one is you feel lonely. If you feel lonely together, that's a clear sign that you probably need the help of someone else. If you're walking into that house and you just feel like nobody's interested in you, or your partner isn't interested in you, or you're lying down in bed at night and you feel like you're looking over at your partner and you're like, this person just does not know who I am. They don't know anything about me. I feel so alone. That's a time. That's the time for you to get some help for someone. Get some help, because the very thing that you need in the relationship, you get into a relationship for companionship, for connection, and you're not getting that, that's something that's a challenge, and that's something that a lot of couples struggle with. And mind you, maybe it's a good question to ask your partner. You may not like the answer, but it's an important question to ask. Do you feel alone? Because what is it this loneliness represents? Not really feeling a part of this union. And it means that at some level, somebody is not providing value, or they're not allowing the other person to feel as though they're valuable. And so you have a situation where the loneliness is built on the idea that there's a wall up somewhere, and you can't get past that wall, and so therefore you don't have that sense of connection. So that's the first one. If you recognize that you're feeling lonely, or you're feeling alone, that's number one, right? The other one is that, and this actually is not on my written list, but I'll say it anyway. The other one is, if you just want your relationship to improve, if you believe the thing that I said earlier, that you don't know what you don't know, then going to see someone, and in this case, you choose your therapist appropriately, and let the therapist know that, hey, we don't really have any problems per se, but, or we don't have any known problems, but we want to be better. And the best way to approach something like that is to get some psychometric tools. Some therapists who can do testing. There's a really wonderful tool that I use called the, what is the name of it? The Relationship Checkup. And so it is a 400 question assessment that gives you all this information about different things in the relationship: commitment, value, parenting, whether there's any potential for abuse, if somebody's depressed, those kinds of things. And so it gives you a sense of areas that may not be causing problems now, but could actually create problems in the future. So what could be happening, what you're doing is that this is a cool one. It is that you're launching a preemptive strike against the future problems in the relationship. And so if you simply want to have a good relationship, that you want better, that's a sign that you need to go see someone. That's two. The third one, so if you have a good relationship that you want to be better, that's number two. Number three is if you have a history of trauma or abuse. If you have a history of somebody abusing you, whether that's physically or sexually or emotionally, whether that was in childhood or in another relationship, get counseling, because there are layers or levels of there are different levels of intimacy that you may be able to effectively hold hands, right, with your partner. But when it comes to kind of trusting them at certain deeper levels, it's important to understand that trauma is going to, and I'm pretty sure that I can say this with confidence, it is going to block how deeply one can get connected to your partner. It's because trauma essentially tells the brain, don't trust anybody, or you can only trust people this much and no more. And once that idea is established in the mind, then ultimately over time what's going to happen is that you're in subtle ways, and subtle ways could be as simple as escalating an argument very, very quickly so that you don't have to engage in a back and forth, because back and forth engagement is too scary. I mean, escalation may be making a decision not to communicate with your partner about certain things. Escalation may be a decision to could drive a decision to what would be a good example here? I need my own bank account. When there may be nothing wrong with that, but all I'm saying is that know that trauma and abuse will have an impact on your relationship. So if you've experienced that, go see someone. The other one, and this is number 4. The other one is alcohol and drug use or abuse. If you're in a relationship with somebody who's an alcoholic or who uses or abuses drugs, it's time to go see someone, even if you decide to go see someone on your own. I mean, I'm not a substance abuse counselor, but I will tell you that there's something called codependence. And it is very easy in a relationship to believe that you can help that person get out, stop drinking, or help that person stop using drugs. And so you're the one who makes sure that there are no more bottles, of alcohol in the house, and you want to check the bank account to make sure that in this area they call the alcohol stores ABC, right? You're checking the bank account and make sure that they didn't go to the ABC and buy alcohol, so you're doing whatever you can to stop them from drinking, and the truth is that it's not your responsibility. And a lot of times that person has to take responsibility for themselves. So understand that in this case, if someone is using drugs or alcohol, both people need to go. And in a case like this, I would say that both people need to go separately to see separate counselors, and then someone else to do couples work. And the couples work, should not start before these individuals have done some of their own individual counseling. So I mean, you know, it's important to kind of, you know, keep in the back of your mind that, you know, in a case like this, you need some individual counseling first, and then you do some couples counseling after the fact. All right, guys. So let me ask someone who can list the 4 that I've said already. Anyone can give me the 4 that I've said already. 4, 4, 4. I said 4. The first one was feeling lonely. Anyone? Why should Marlene? Feeling lonely together, wanting the relationship to improve, a history of trauma, and substance abuse issues. Marlene, you're on the ball tonight. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The next one is broken trust. Broken trust. If for whatever reason you believe that trust has been broken in the relationship, then you want to make sure that you go see someone to talk about that, because the problem here is the issue of resentment. If you don't deal with the trust issues, over time, what one is going to do, what an individual is going to do, is that they're going to find ways to protect themselves, to shield themselves from what they perceive to be damage from the other person. And over time, what you're gonna find is that the relationship cannot grow, because someone, either both individuals or one individual, that they're just not taking emotional risk. So you have this situation where the trust isn't there. So why should I help you with this? You know, why should I help you wash the dishes? I'm always talking about dishes. Why should I help you with an assignment that you have? Why should I help you fix this problem? Why should I help you in the yard? You know, I don't really trust you. And the idea is, you know, if you finish that sentence, I don't trust that you're not going to hurt me again. So you're saying, I don't want you to hurt me again, so I'm not going to trust you. Simple as that. And so when that happens, in addition to a lack of trust and resentment are twins. And so, but resentment is the more powerful twin of trust. Because resentment, trust is like, you know, I'm not going to have anything to do with you. Resentment is when you reach growing or increasing levels of disgust for that person, which ultimately, I mean, if you have disgust for that person, you're not really going to be able to effectively have a relationship. So going to see someone is a way of allowing you to talk about the feelings of resentment, to talk about the trust, and to find ways to rebuild that trust again. All right? Any questions, guys? Awfully quiet tonight. You know, there are, my faithful sister-in-law is not here tonight, and she is such a darling at pushing this video out to literally thousands of people as much as she can, and she's not here tonight, and so she makes sure that we get all as far as we possibly can. And I miss her tonight. I hope you are enjoying yourself wherever you are. Miss Richardson, welcome tonight. Welcome. The next one is avoidance. Avoidance. If you notice that you're avoiding your partner's texts or phone calls, or you're avoiding wanting to have conversations with them, wanting to do things with them, wanting to participate with family activities with your partner, staying out longer because you don't want to be around your partner, all of those things that I listed, yeah, those are signs that it might be time that the relationship is deteriorating, and it might be time to go see someone. Because obviously, if there's avoidance, they can't really be effective intimacy, and if there's no intimacy, there's no relationship. And understand that when I talk about intimacy, I'm talking about not talking about sex. I'm talking about just really having a friendship, having companionship. So if you don't have those things, whoops, the relationship is dead in the water. So, what is the other one? There's another one, and this may actually surprise you. If, as a couple, you realize that you stop fighting. Did you hear that one? If you realize that in your relationship you stop fighting, that might be a clear sign that it is time to see someone. Because ultimately you decided that, like, you know what, it ain't even worth it anymore. So you're like, whatever. Whatever you do is whatever you do, cool. And I can't be bothered, you know? If you want to stay out till 1 o'clock in the morning, stay out. You know, if you don't want to pay these bills, I'll pay what I can. You know, I've talked to you about, whatever the thing is. You don't listen to me. You're not hearing me. I'm done. So, if you're hearing whatever, or fine, or you're just not talking, that is a sign, a clear sign, that something is wrong, that disengagement has already happened, that the relationship is disconnected already. Because believe it or not, fighting at some level is a sign of a healthy relationship. Anybody surprised by that one? No? Nobody surprised by that one? Just imagine that if you have historically had fights in your relationship, and all of a sudden you stop fighting, yeah, that might be a sign that that something is wrong. That one has to consider that the relationship may have gone south, gone in the other direction. What is the next one? So the next one is the opposite of the one I just gave you. The next one is that you're fighting too much. And I would add to this, you're fighting too much in the wrong way. Right? You said I always thought it was the other way around. So I'm talking about the other way around right now. So one is you're fighting, you stop fighting, and the other one is that you're fighting too much. And what is too much? It's too much in a certain type of way. So let me kind of break it down a little bit. Gottman, who you've heard me talk about before, talks about the fact that in relationships there's something called masters and there's something called disasters. The disasters fight in relationships that include 4 things that we've talked about in other broadcasts: contempt, defensiveness, stonewalling, and criticism. So those four things, if a couple they're fighting too much, and those four things are part of those fights, then you have a problem. And one may have a problem with fear, and that's another one actually, fear. But we'll hold on that. The problem with fear, if there's a problem with maybe a skill deficit problem where you just really don't know how to fight, you don't know how to build and maintain that connection with your partner, or how to deal with differences. Understand that being able to deal with differences is a skill. There is an element of the skills that are required so that you can effectively know what to do and when to do it, when to withdraw, when not to say anything, when to say sorry. All of those things are skills that one needs in order to effectively manage conflict in the relationship. If you don't know those things, what's going to happen is that you're just going to fight too much, So, on the one hand, not fighting at all, and on the other hand, fighting too much, both are signs that it's time to go seek some help from someone. Remember, I am giving away one of these books for the first person who can actually list my book. I'm giving my book, What to Do Before, During, and After a Fight, to the first person who can list all the things that are part of demonstrate that you need to see a counselor. The other one is when people start having affairs. Now, note that for the most part, and I've said this in other broadcasts, that 85% of relationships affairs don't work out. So for the most part, people are leaving relationships. They're having affairs to try to address problems in their marriage, which is bizarre, but it's true. So whether it's an emotional affair or a physical affair, if you realize that you've gotten to that point and knowing that I really don't want to be with this other person anyway, then that's one of those things that is pretty much a clear sign that, there's something wrong in this relationship. I probably need to see someone. I probably need to have a conversation with a counselor, and that may be one of those things that you may decide to go on your own and do. But for the most part, I think that's one of those things that it's a clear sign that somebody needs to do something. Financial infidelity, that's another one. If you realize that there are money issues, where people are hiding certain things, that's another sign that one may need to go see someone. The other one is that the sexual relationship stops. So you stop having sex, and this is not uncommon. It actually is very common in relationships. I seek clients for a living. I will tell you that there are some people who've gone months, sometimes longer than a year, and live in a house together and have not had a sexual encounter. That's something that is clearly an indication that there's something wrong. There's something wrong in the relationship. Either these individuals are not able to connect on an intimate level for whatever reason, And so they just decide to stop having sex. You know, if a relationship has gotten to that point, yeah, it's time. It's time to go see someone. There is another one too. Is that if the couple has experienced a major illness or some significant life change, a death in the family, uh, you know, an accident, a job loss, those things that shift the trajectory of the relationship. You had all these plans, and now somebody's in the hospital, or they're out of a job. All of those things kind of can rock the relationship, and even if it is on a temporary basis, one may make a decision that, you know what, I think I need to go see someone. You know, the last one that I have here is I want to talk about this for a little bit, because I think well, I have a couple more, not just one. Talk about this. We talked earlier about not. Well, my wife has kind of like shared some of these major changes, like infertility, right? Miscarriage, military deployment. You know, how do you maintain a relationship from across the distance? I mean, all of these things are really big deal. They're big issues that that one needs to maybe hash out, just, you know, to be able to talk through with someone, so that, you know, whether it is to preempt any problems or whether you're in the midst of the issue, to help you again see some of the things that you can't see. The other thing too is that when you start arguing about little things constantly, that's really a sign that, you know, that somebody's uncomfortable, that someone needs to doesn't feel as though they have a place in the relationship. So the arguments may actually be a way of doing what I talk about now, is to exercising their right to have a voice. And this is the final one that that I want to bring up tonight, is I want to bring up this idea that if you begin to believe that in your relationship, hey guys, thanks for sharing this broadcast. I really appreciate that. It's a pleasure. Marriage is our ministry. These are two friends that we haven't really had much of an interaction, but I've been following them. They have their own program set up. Really cool people. Thanks a lot for sharing this particular video tonight. I definitely appreciate it. We do need to have some conversations sooner than later to talk about, you know, how we can collaborate and do some work together, and just be able to carry the work forward. So we're talking about this issue of the voice. If you've lost your voice, and I don't mean the voice that you speak with, I'm talking about if your beliefs, your values, your ideas, your hopes, your fears, your dreams don't have a place in the relationship. You know, I don't care what it is, but if you like to crochet, right, and your partner has disregarded the fact that you like to crochet, that's your voice being quelched. If you like to make paper airplanes and your partner passes by when you're making the paper airplanes and they go like, "Why are you doing that again?" Right? That's your voice being taken away from you. If your partner likes paper airplanes, find a book about paper airplanes and sit down with them and make paper airplanes. I say it in jest, but there are too many situations where the things that person likes, the things that they're interested in, are totally disregarded. And we get used to the person, we get used to their stuff, who they are, or who we think they are. And it's like, yeah, he's doing that, she's doing that. He likes to do whatever. You don't pay attention to it. If you don't pay attention to it, somebody else will. And unfortunately, this is how people enter your relationship. So pay attention. If your partner has an opinion about something or things, don't disregard those opinions. Because as stupid as you may think those opinions are, that person's opinion, you're funny. That person's opinion is valuable. That person's opinion matters, you know? And listen to those opinions. Listen to those ideas, because you want to make sure that that person's voice is heard. And believe it or not, that voice may save you a lot of trouble going forward in the relationship. But you have to be interested in the person's voice, the person's opinions. So if you realize that your opinions don't matter, or you've been wanting to do some things and your partner has not been supporting those things, that is one of the things that is silent, but it slowly eats away at the relationship, because the person begins to realize that something is missing, and the lack of a voice is very connected to loneliness. And so you have this string of things that when you put them all together, they are going to represent, they all represent at some level this idea of value. So I could put all these things in a little box. I'll put a bow on top that says value. One needs to go to counseling if you do not feel in your relationship that you're valued. Whether it is feeling lonely, the abuse and trauma will affect your perception of your own value. It also will affect how many things or things that should be done to help you feel valuable. If you go down the list, a broken trust is going to affect your sense of value. Avoidance, if somebody's avoiding you, they clearly don't value you. If the person stops fighting with you, then your opinions are not valued anymore. If they fight with you too much in nasty ways or dirty ways, that also is an indication that, hi Jonathan, that also is an indication that that they don't value you. If they stop having sex with you, they don't value you. Of course, if your opinions don't matter to them, they don't value you. So let's put them all together in one little box, and the box is called value. If you don't feel valued, you need to go see a counselor together. I think that maybe we should talk about in another broadcast about how do you encourage a resistant partner to come to counseling. I actually think that we can spend a whole broadcast talking about that. But yeah, I've gone over in this particular broadcast, I've gone over the common problems or the reasons why people don't go to see a counselor, a couples counselor. I've gone over those, and then I've also gone over signs that it's time to go see someone. And so we've kind of laid this out tonight for you. So Next week's topic. While you guys gather your thoughts around, listing um, the signs that it's time to go to counseling. Because remember, I am giving away a copy of my book tonight, Fight Plan: What to Do Before, During, and After a Fight. I'm giving away this copy to anyone who can list. Right now, it probably looks as though there are 11 or 12 of the signs that you need to go to see a counselor. So anybody who can list those will get a copy of that. But no, don't give the list yet. Before you do that, what I want you to do is to tell me what are some of the topics that you want to hear. Natasha and I had a really wonderful conversation today, and it really got a great deal of interaction. How to get a resistant partner to go to counseling. That's a topic for next time, but yeah, let's hold that one for next time. But let's see if anyone else has a topic or additional topics, so we can choose from. Maybe this is the right one. Anybody else? Anybody else has an idea for a topic? About counseling. What about let's see. I don't know. I don't want to bias you. I have a few in my head, but if there's something that you want to particularly hear about, just let me know. Just share it. Let's know. What are some of the things that you would potentially want to hear in a question for an hour and a half? What are some of the topics that you may want to hear about in the next broadcast? Something that you just want to kind of sit and listen and have discussions with your friends here in the comment section. Any takers? Anyone that might be able to give a question or a topic? What about a topic for us on? We're actually gonna do Facebook Live on next Friday, I think. Any particular topics that you want to talk about tomorrow? Not tomorrow, next Thursday and Friday. Anything? Because it seems as though the broadcast that Natasha and I do together is so much more fun. I mean, I enjoy spending some time with you guys on a Thursday night, but excuse me, during the broadcast with Natasha is a lot of fun. So next Friday we're going to talk. No one else? Anybody else? No one else? So let's see those topics. The 11 things or so. Anybody can list them for me. Signs that it's time to go to counseling. So I will sit here going once, twice, 3 times. Anybody can share with me. Oh, Marlene. Answers. Feeling lonely together. If you want a relationship to improve, okay, a history of substance abuse, broken trust, the fight stopped, too much fights, affairs, lack of intimacy, major illness, infertility. That's not all. There are more. There's more. Come on. There are a couple more. You don't have the ones at the end. The last two. If you remember the last two. Last two, Marlene. Last two. You don't have the last two. The last two are the sex stops and that you feel that you don't have a voice anymore. That's the last two. But you've been such a good sport. If you can, private message me, please, your address. I'll send you a copy of a copy of my book. I'll send you out a copy of my book, A Fight Plan, what to do before, during, and after a fight. We're doing some revisions to this now, actually, to clean it up a bit and to add some content to it. So, but we'll send you out a copy. So go ahead and when you get a chance, just private message me your address, and I will send you a copy of this wonderful book. So let me give you guys an update before we close out tonight on some of the things that are happening with us. We're moving forward with the next fight school on May 7th here in Charlotte. We are in the process. We actually had a really good photo shoot. We took 300, almost 350 photographs. And these photographs are amazing. And so you're going to see that these pictures are going to start to trickle out. Really nice pictures of Natasha, nice pictures of us that really are going to change or help to kind of bolster the image that we're trying to create here. And you know, and this, understand that this is not just an image thing. We we walk the walk and talk the talk. We have fights in our relationship just like anybody else, and we work through them. And so what you see is what you get. The work that we put in to really kind of build in a relationship is something that we want to share with you. And so I want you to kind of know that if you see this thing that the two of us are having fun together, we have challenges just like anybody else, but we work through them, like I said. And understand also that maybe at some level there's knowledge that we have, there are ideas that we have that we want to share with you. Also, that form part of this nucleus around a boy, in this case me, who has a story, who may have gone through a lot of kind of stuff as a child, and being able to really create a loving relationship with someone else. It's somewhat of a miracle, if you ask me, because ultimately I had no idea what to do, and you seem to have figured it out, or continue to figure it out, because there's still a long way to go. So that's that. I'm talking about the photographs. The Couples Fight School page, like I said, is adding about 250 followers a week. And the first major goal that we have is 5,000 followers. So it's going to take us a while. We're probably taking a couple months before we get to that 5,000 followers, but it's happening on a pretty consistent clip. So we're moving in the direction that we want to move in. The other thing that is happening is that we're totally redoing Mastering Conflict. That is the page that we use for all our corporate work, clients and scheduling clients and all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be something that you're really going to take a look at when you can. MasteringAnger.com has been a site that we have had in our, even when we weren't actually operating a business, we were still in jobs. And MasteringAnger.com is a website that we have had now for almost 10 years, that we've provided anger management classes to people as far as Saudi Arabia. So this thing has been around for a long time, and it continues to provide a service to people all over the United States, and in some cases, different parts of the world. So that's a site that you want to check out too, MasteringAnger.com. We are moving towards a redesign of that site, because we have like teen courses and we have courses in Spanish for people to facilitate people who are dealing with anger issues that may be younger, or issues, or those who speak Spanish, and of course couples and that kind of stuff. So that's happening. So there are a lot of little things that are happening. Um, my wife and I continue to see clients on a daily basis here in the office, and it's something that we consistently do. Also, let me say this, that we do travel, and so if there is a person who you may know of who is in Timbuktu, and they want someone to talk about anger and conflict, who they want someone to talk about women's issues, mental health issues with women, mental health issues for men, that's what we do. So that's something that we are willing to have a conversation about. And also to do collaborations. Collaborations can be a good thing too, for individuals for us to get the message across, because each one of us that are in this industry are going to have a different way of projecting the same message of helping couples to live happy lives. We happen to think about it more in terms of fight fear. The other thing is that we're working on is t-shirts. We're going to acquire a machine soon to help us hopefully be able to do these with t-shirts a lot faster. My wife has been very, very good about writing down some of the things, the little sayings that come out of my mouth and come out of my head. So she's been awesome at kind of writing those things down. In the past we've had, bigger marriages, smaller weddings, bigger marriages. That's been a good one. And, so there are a lot of things that are happening on the back end. And really this year, 2017, is the year of interaction, because next year is really the year where we continue to expand. We push for a greater level of expansion. Last year was an ignite year for us. So ignite, engage, expand. That is the motto that we're running across these 3 years. And we want to absolutely provide those of you who out there who with value around this idea of fighting fear. Or basic philosophy is that conflict is a part of your relationship, but we can help you find ways to effectively manage conflict in the relationship. So those are some of the things that we have going on, and there's some more, but I will hold those for another time. Guys, I appreciate you coming on. You've been awesome. If there are any questions, any thoughts before we bounce off tonight? No questions, no thoughts. We've had almost 400 views. No, I'm sorry, a little over 200 tonight. So, good looking. Thank you very, very much for coming on. Tammy, she says it's late. I had to have taxes filed out tonight. Yeah, it is that time, isn't it? Thank you very much, Dion. Guys, I really, really appreciate this as always. And let's meet again next Thursday and Friday. I may have to keep coming on at night, in the morning, but we'll work on that. No more. I won't share anymore. There's a lot going on, but no, I won't share anymore. Hey, take care, guys, and I will see you. Tammy, you can watch the broadcast. Not only watch this broadcast, but watch the broadcast from today. Today, Natasha and I talked about what to do, how to maintain intimacy when your body changes. So you may want to go back and take a look at that. There's some very, very interesting stuff in there. We had a lot of fun today. Take a look at that particular video. A lot of comments on there. Just a lot of fun. Just absolutely a lot of fun. Take care, guys. Have a very, very, very good night. And Marlene, remember to inbox me your address whenever you have a chance, and I will send you a copy of this. Or you can just drop by the office. I will leave you can leave it at the front desk, and you can pick up a copy of it. Either way, if you're in the university area and you want to pick up a copy from the front desk, um, feel free to do so. Either way, just let me know what works better for you, and I will do that. Thanks for the participation. Have fun. Have an absolutely good night, and take care of yourself, guys. And thanks for coming on. Bye bye.